There was once a boy named Finn who lived in a village where the wind was always busy. It rattled the shutters, tangled the laundry, and sent hats tumbling down the street like runaway rabbits. But no one ever stopped to listen to what it had to say. They called it noisy, troublesome, wild, but Finn knew better. He could hear the difference between a shout and a song, and the wind, he realized, was always singing. It carried whispers from faraway places, a child's laugh from across the sea, the last note of a lullaby from a mountain cabin, the soft rustle of a letter never sent. Finn was small for his age, with hair that never stayed flat and a habit of tilting his head as if listening to a voice no one else could hear. And because of this, the other children said he was odd or dreamy, which were words that stung more than they should. One evening, as he sat on the hill behind his house watching the clouds race across the sky, the wind didn't just blow, it spoke, not in words, but in a feeling, like a hand gently touching his shoulder. It showed him a vision, a valley beyond the tallest mountains, where the air had grown still and heavy, and the trees had forgotten how to dance. The birds no longer sang at dawn, and the flowers stayed closed, waiting for a breath that never came. The wind explained in its wordless way that it had grown too weak to reach that place. It had been ignored for too long, its songs dismissed as noise, its presence taken for granted. And now the valley was fading, not with a crash, but with a slow, quiet sorrow. "Will you carry me there?" it asked. Finn didn't hesitate. "I'll try." The next morning, he packed a small satchel with a notebook, a jar with a lid full of tiny holes, his favorite scarf, and a sandwich wrapped in waxed paper. He told his mother he was going on an adventure. She smiled, used to his quiet mysteries, and kissed his forehead. "Be back before dark," she said, though she knew he might not be. Finn walked for hours, following the pull of the wind in his chest, until he reached the edge of the world, or so it seemed, where the mountains rose like giants wrapped in mist. There, at the mouth of a narrow pass, he opened his jar and whispered, "Come in, I'll take you part of the way." The wind swirled, hesitated, then slipped inside, making the jar hum like a seashell held to the ear. Finn closed the lid gently and began to climb. The path was steep and silent, the air thin and cold, but the jar grew warm in his hands, pulsing like a heartbeat. He sang to it when he was tired, told it stories about his dog, his favorite tree, the way the breeze always smelled like apples in autumn. And slowly, the wind began to grow stronger inside its glass home, tapping against the sides, eager to be free. When he reached the summit, the valley lay below, gray, still, and silent, as if time itself had held its breath. Finn ran down the slope, his legs burning, his breath sharp in the cold, until he reached the center of the valley, where a great ancient oak stood bare and unmoving. He unscrewed the lid and placed the jar at the tree's roots. "This is for you," he said. At first, nothing happened. Then, a single leaf trembled, a blade of grass bent, and then a breath, soft at first, like a sigh, then stronger, swirling up from the jar and into the sky. The wind was back. It danced through the branches, rustled the dry leaves, and lifted the petals of 1,000 sleeping flowers. Birds returned, their songs clear and bright. A stream that had been still began to giggle over stones. And the people of the valley, who had lived in silence for so long, stepped outside, their faces turned to the sky, their scarves fluttering, their hearts remembering joy. Finn didn't stay for the celebration. He began the journey home as the sun dipped below the hills, the wind now strong enough to carry itself. But as he walked, he noticed something strange. The wind followed him, not in the jar, but around him, gentle and close, like a loyal friend. And when he returned to his village, things were different. The laundry still flapped, but now it danced. The shutters still creaked, but they sang. And the children, even the ones who once called him dreamy, began to tilt their heads and listen. From that night on, whenever a child felt lonely or the world felt too loud, they would step outside, close their eyes, and wait. And if they were very still, They might feel a soft breeze brush their cheek. Not random, not wild, but kind. Carrying a whisper from far away, you're not alone. The end. More of the quietest forces in the world, a breeze, a thought, a feeling, can carry the greatest change. And sometimes all it takes is one person who's willing to listen and carry it forward.